Good morning, Hustle Nation. Today we got a very powerful show for you. We're talking big business with Michelle Seiler Tucker, the queen of buying, selling, fixing, and growing businesses. We're going to talk about an exit strategy to your business. I know a lot of entrepreneurs don't even think about that, but that is where the money resides. So we're going to get all into that today. So do me a huge favor. Go ahead and comment in the chat where you're from. Drop the name of your business and or your brand and smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen. You do not want to miss this. You're going to learn the ins and outs of creating a not only profitable but sustainable business, but build it in a way that is an attractive asset that people will fight to buy. So comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business and or your brand, and let's kick it. Yo, what's up, Ultimate Hustlers, and welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show, the business podcast for the entrepreneur of the 21st century. And I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. Our goal is to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how the world's greatest hustlers build amazing brands, scale their businesses to incredible heights, sell more, make more, and create mass movements that impact the world. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned vet or you're sitting on the sidelines with aspirations to one day unleash your inner hustle. This show will provide the insights into how pure grit, determination, and hard work has morphed into some of the most iconic brands and personalities and how they are moving the culture forward. You'll get a mix of solo shows featuring yours truly, as well as interviews and content from other hustlers that I either know personally or I've learned from or whose grind I've come to know and respect. And you'll also get exclusive recordings from our membership called Monetize My Life Academy, which you can check out at monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's a program where we go live every month with some of the best hustlers on the planet, sharing best practices on how we all can explode our brands with advanced branding and marketing tactics, business development strategies, and financial game planning necessary to build the empires we all desire. Again, that's at monetizemylifeacademy.com. If you like today's episode, chances are the hustlers you're connected to will like it as well. Share it with those in your network. And when you do, use hashtag Cortez Hustle so I can see you and hopefully give you a shout out and share you in my stories. So check out today's episode and make sure you subscribe to the feed on your favorite podcasting networks. All right, Ultimate Hustlers, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show. I am, of course, your host, Cortez Hustle, also known as the one and only financial health mentor, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur, coming to you live and direct from the Monetize My Life Academy studios here in St. Louis, Missouri, where if you have not already gotten your free copy of Monetize My Life, 4 incredibly simple ways to turn your passions into profit with little to no startup cost, you want to do that at monetizemylifeacademy.com/free book. I am super excited, ladies and gentlemen. We have a very, very special guest. We're talking big business, and it's going to be a phenomenal show. So you want to hit that share button like now. Also, comment the name of your business and or your brand. We've got a business expert in the house. You may be able to get to ask a question or two. So definitely engage with today's show. A couple quick announcements. We'll bring in our special guest. The mastermind is open and running. If you already have a business and you're trying to figure out social media, you're trying to figure out how to build your brand, get more exposure, get more notoriety using things like social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, then go to monetizemylifeacademy.com. You can get your first month for just $1. Test it out. We have monthly training, weekly training, lots of tools and resources to help you grow your business and your brand using the internet. Guys, it's not going anywhere. You got to figure this thing out. If you are in business, you are really a media company and a tech company. If you haven't figured that out, then you want to get that thing figured out. Also, if you'd like to sponsor the show, comment keyword sponsor so that I can have my team reach out to you. We have some great opportunities for you to sponsor this show to get your message out in front of more and more people. So we're not going to delay any further because to read this lady's bio, I mean, it is amazing all the things that she has accomplished. But I'm going to coin her the queen of mergers and acquisitions. She is endorsed by the who's who, from Brian Tracy to Les Brown. She's got best-selling books. She's got a new book out right now teaching you how to exit your business and build a profitable, sustainable asset that people will want to buy. So I'm not going to delay any further. I'm going to introduce to some and present to others, Madam Michelle Seiler Tucker. Good morning, Miss Michelle. How are you this morning? Uh-oh, there we go. Let me get you unmuted. There we go. How are you this morning, Michelle?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, man, thank you for being here. This is an amazing opportunity for me to speak to someone of your business acumen, because I aspire to do great things in business myself. And before we get into your story, who you are, how you got started, and the exit strategy, we like to start the show with something I call the quote of the day. And I was listening to your podcast the other day as I was preparing for the show, and you had Jay Samit on, and he said something powerful about entrepreneurship and what it is at its core. It's problem solving. And he said, if you solve for a few, you have friends. If you solve for 1 million, you become wealthy. Solve for 1 billion and change the world. So give me your takeaway on that particular quote, and then I'll give my takeaway as well.
I love Jay Samit. I've known him for quite a while, actually shared the stage with him. And I couldn't agree with him more. I mean, the bottom line is, you solve for, look, entrepreneurs are solution providers, right? Mm-hmm. We find problems, we come up with solutions, and we fix problems. And yes, you do that for 1 million, you become wealthy. But don't you want to do that for 1 billion and really change the world like some of the greatest leaders in the world are doing right now? That's kind of my takeaway is shouldn't just be about you. It should be about making a better place for everyone else.
Yeah, I love that. And as problem solvers, what my takeaway is that you can make $1 and make a difference at the same time. I think a lot of people have that confused is, hey, if I'm making a difference, then I've got to be volunteering or doing something for free. Or if I'm trying to make money, then I have to have some skewed idea or reality. No, you can make $1 and make a difference at the same time. So again, solve for a few and you have friends. Solve for millions and you become wealthy. Solve for 1 billion and you change the world like some of the greatest innovators of our time. And that is Jay Samit. So let's get into Miss Michelle Seiler Tucker. Who the heck are you, lady?
Who the heck am I? Well, I love what you say. I'm the queen of mergers and acquisitions, the queen of buying, selling, fixing, and growing businesses. I'm a mergers and acquisitions master intermediary, senior business analyst, and a bunch of other acronyms behind my name that we won't get into. Yeah. But anyway, I've been in this industry for a little over 20 years. I've personally sold over 500 companies, but my firm has sold over 1,000. Wow. We've done thousands of evaluations, and we're hoping to solve for millions and solve for billions to change the world, just like Jay Samit.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, your whole program based around your new book, Exit Strategy. Let's talk about why that's important for entrepreneurs to think with the end in mind when they're building these companies. So give us your definition of what an exit strategy is, and let's walk backwards from there. Things that entrepreneurs can do to kind of build that.
Sure. So my newest book, Exit Rich, which is endorsed by Steve Forbes. Steve Forbes says 80% of businesses will not sell. 80%. Wow. 8 out of 10 businesses will not sell. So I learned that a long time ago when I first got into this industry, which is why we really specialize in not just selling businesses, but we buy businesses, flip them. I partner with business owners, investing my capital, my core competencies, and really fix their business, grow their business, and put them on a build to sell program. So we specialize in buying, selling, fixing, growing. And what I learned a long time ago is the number one reason that businesses don't sell, that 80% don't sell, is because business owners never plan their exit strategy. They don't plan to fail. They don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. They never think about planning their exit strategy until a catastrophic event occurs, whether that's internal or external. Internal being health issues, partner disputes, divorce, death. External is this pandemic that we've been in for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
The worst time to sell your business is when you're in the middle of a catastrophe because your business is trending down. It's not doing well. It will never maximize value. The best time to sell your business is when it's doing well and it's in its prime. So we work with our business owners on what I call the ST, Seiler Tucker, ST GPS exit model. And I'll run you through this real quick because it's really imperative for all business owners to change their mindset, to stop thinking about their business as their baby, and to think about, because your babies are at home, right? Go home, love your babies, kiss your babies, hug your babies, but treat your business as a valuable asset that it is. And let's start with the end in mind, like Stephen Covey says, start with the end in mind. So from day one of starting or buying a business, you need to plan your exit. So, you know, when you want to drive somewhere, what do? You pull out your phone, you go to Google Maps, and you plug in your
destination.
If you don't plug in a destination, what are you doing in St. Louis? You're going to be driving all over the place.
That's right.
You're going to run out of gas. And that's what happens to business owners. They don't plan they, you know, like I said, they don't have a destination. They don't have a desired end game. So they drive around in circles. They drive up and down the financial hills to end up nowhere. So come up with a destination. I want everyone right now to think about, what is my destination? What is my end game? What is my desired sales price? What do I want to sell my business for? So let's just pick a number. Let's say you want to sell your business for $10 million. Boom, there it is. There's a number. Now, what does the GPS exit model need to know? It needs to know where you're starting from. What is your current location? What is your current evaluation? What is your business worth right now? And I will tell you, you know, Mr. Cortez, I don't know if you want to call you Mr. Cortez or Fernando.
Cortez is fine.
Or King. I'll call you King. I'm Queen, you're King. So I'll tell you, King, most business owners have absolutely 1,000% no idea what their business is worth because they never had a business evaluation. I met with a business owner the other day, been in business for 40 years, never had a business evaluation. That is financial suicide. We go to the doctor once a year to get an annual checkup to make sure our heart's still ticking and we're still kicking. We take our car to the mechanic to get an annual tune-up. But our most valuable asset, which is our business, we don't get an annual valuation checkup. That's financial suicide because there are events to increase valuation. There are events to decrease valuation. So you need to know what your business is worth every single year. So let's say you want to sell for $10 million and you're currently worth $2 million. What does the GPS exit model need to know now? It needs to know time frame. So let's say you want to do this in 10 years. You want to sell for $10 million, you're worth $2 million. You want to sell in 10 years. Now it needs to know, you need to know who your buyer is going to be. Now notice I said buyers and not buyer. A lot of clients come to me and say, Michelle, I just need you to represent me with this buyer. And I'm like, nope. Because what's going to happen is you have less than probably a 5% chance that that buyer is actually going to close on the sale of your business because something will fall apart in due diligence and then you have no backup buyers. So you never want to put all of your eggs in one buyer's basket. You want to make sure we always have backup buyers. Plus, most importantly, how can I maximize value on the price of your business if I can't create competition because I only have one buyer? We want to create competition. So most people don't know this, King. I'm calling you King. Most people don't know this, King Cortez, that there are 5 types of buyers. 90% of buyers are first-time buyers. They buy small businesses, coffee shops, pizzerias, dry cleaners, etc. If you're selling a business for millions, you're not going to sell to a first-time buyer. The second type of buyer is turnaround specialists. They buy distressed assets. They don't buy $2 million companies. And then you have PEGs, private equity groups. Private equity groups buy based 2 ways, platform and add-on. A platform means that they want to get into food manufacturing, but they don't have a food, they're not in that space right now. They won't
Mhm.
even consider a food manufacturing company unless it has at least $3 million and up in EBITDA. EBITDA
Mhm.
is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. But
Mhm.
let's say that they already have a platform in food manufacturing and they want to buy add-ons. They want to buy a spice company. Then they'll
Right.
look at add-ons for under $1 million in EBITDA. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then the next type of buyer, the fourth type of buyer is strategic/competitors. They typically pay the highest multiple because they're buying synergies. They're buying synergies that will help catapult their current business to the next level.
Mhm.
And they take advantage of economies of scale, which decreases overhead in the business they're buying. Plus, they look at what infrastructure can they cut in the business that they're buying so that they can decrease overhead and increase EBITDA day one of closing on the sale of that business. The fifth type of buyer
Mhm.
is sophisticated serial entrepreneurs. They're industry agnostic. They chase EBITDA, they chase cash flow. So those are
Yes.
your 5 types of buyers. Now that you have your plan, you want to reverse engineer it and ask yourself, well, if I want to sell for $10 million, where do my numbers need to be? Where's my gross need to be? Where's my COGS need to be? Most importantly, where's my EBITDA need to be?
Mhm.
And if you want to sell for $10 million, your EBITDA needs to be between $1.5 million and $2 million, depending upon your synergies. Then the next step in the plan is finding out what do these 3 types of buyers look for? What is their buying criteria? What
Mhm.
synergies are they wanting to purchase and are willing to pay top dollar for?
Yeah.
And then that's when you get to building your business on what I call the ST6Ps and building those synergies, building that infrastructure in your business. Because the synergies is what creates maximum value and it's what creates a bidding war. The
Gotcha.
last step in this equation is why. Your why. Your why
Mhm.
has to be powerful enough to keep you motivated, to keep you in the game, to keep you weathering all the financial storms. Because if it was easy to sell a $10 million business, wouldn't everybody be doing it?
That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it. And that's powerful. So real quick, uh, how did you get into the entrepreneurial space? Were you always an entrepreneur?
You know, I
Or
Yeah, I was always an entrepreneur. I've always had entrepreneurs running through my blood.
okay.
I've owned many different companies and different verticals. I did go to work for corporate America. I got that job, that job for a
Yeah.
while, and I realized it's not for me. I don't make a good employee. Number one, I don't like being told what to do. So I ended up going into franchise sales, franchise consulting, franchise development
Mhm.
and did that for several years, and I kept finding myself saying no, 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 because so many buyers would come to me and want to buy an existing business, and I'm like, no, we only have new franchises, because I was doing franchise sales, franchise consulting, and franchise development, and
Yeah.
I said, why do I keep saying no? I'm all about law of attraction, what Bob Proctor says, say yes, yes, yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm like, I need to stop saying no. And that's really when I opened up my mergers and acquisitions firm over 20 years ago and really decided to focus on selling businesses and then realized very quickly that 8 out of 10 businesses don't sell. If I don't start
Mhm.
fixing them, growing them, putting them on a build to sell plan, I'm going to starve to death.
I love it. I love it. And I think you hit on a couple things. You said, I realized that being an employee is not for me. And some people are at that realization, but they're also scared of entrepreneurship. You can't have it both ways. Either you're going to. I told my wife before I left my corporate job, is this thing is killing me on the inside every day, because I just can't. I need to be out doing what I love, what I'm passionate about. What would you say to a employee who's on the fence about, hey man, I want to pursue this, but I'm a little bit afraid. What was it that caused you to have the full confidence to say, hey man, this corporate thing just is for the birds. I'm out of here.
Well, for me, it was kind of tough because I went to work for Xerox actually recruited me. So I
Hmm.
worked for a Fortune 500 company. Xerox recruited me because they couldn't beat me. So they
Yeah.
decided to recruit me. And within 6 months, my nickname became the closer because every time, someone couldn't close a deal, they're like, well, call Michelle in. She's the closer. She'll get it done. And then my supervisor came to me and said, there's a regional vice president position coming available and overseeing 100 salespeople, like 80 to 100 salespeople. And she says, you won't get it because you've only been here for 6 months. And Xerox's policy is you have to be here for 2 years before you get promoted. Plus, you're up against all these other employees that have been here for years and years and years. And it's a 3-month process. I'm like, well, why would I interview for something I'm never going to get?
Yeah.
And she said, because of the experience, you'll learn so much going through this experience. So I said, okay. And I threw my name in a hat, and she was right. It was a 3-month grueling process where I interviewed with Xerox executives all over the United States, doing Q&As, demonstrations, presentations. Anyway, I did end up getting it. So I guess I truly am the closer. I ended up beating all my friends at Xerox, and then they didn't like me. But what I found out, though, pretty quickly is that I didn't like it.
No.
I didn't like it because instead of meeting with my clients, building lifetime relationships, solving problems, coming up with solutions, I was having meetings to schedule follow-up meetings, to schedule more follow-up meetings. And it was just so meeting and paperwork intensive that we weren't really getting anything accomplished. So I started looking for a business to buy on the side. I was going to keep my 6-figure position with my great benefits because I was climbing up that Xerox ladder really quickly.
Yeah.
And then I stumbled across a franchise. Actually, my husband knew the owner, but I stumbled across a franchise, and I said, I want to buy your franchise. And they said, well, we want you to partner with us. And I said, and they said, we'll give you a franchise. And I said, well, look, you're not very successful. And I don't know if I want to leave my 6-figure, Fortune 500 position for a company that's not successful. I said, so I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll try it out for 6 months. So I kept working at Xerox, and on the weekends and evenings, I would fly around, go to franchise shows, host events, etc. I ended up selling so many franchises and making more money in those 6 months than I did an entire year at Xerox. So I decided to go ahead and leave. So 6 months after I got that promotion, I left Xerox. So everybody kept telling me, Michelle, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. But it was the best move I ever made. And so I always tell people when they're thinking about leaving their job, you really got to look at risk versus reward, right? And you got to look at, do you take the leap right then and there, or do you do what I did and test the waters and do it for 6 months to make sure that you're making a good decision?
Yeah.
And, I had a lady that actually was in banking for 45 years. She's very close to retirement. She called us and wanted to buy a business. She wanted to buy a restaurant. And I'm like, you don't need to buy a restaurant. Why do you want to buy a restaurant? Because she has zero experience. And everybody kept telling her, why are you leaving? You're 10 minutes. You're like 2 years away from retirement. That's insane. But you have to go back to the why. She had a powerful why. She said, listen, I've been in this industry for 30, 35, 40 years. I'm making $110,000, $125,000 a year. I have no legacy, nothing to leave behind for my daughter. My husband was in the military, contracted Agent Orange. He's outlived every doctor's prognosis. He should be gone by now. But she says, when he's gone, we lose all the benefits. We lose, this, we lose that. And she says, I just feel like all this work, I should have more to show for it. So her powerful why was, I want to leave a legacy behind for my daughter. I want my daughter to work in the business with me. And I want to make sure that I have the money that I need to support us once my husband passes. That's a pretty powerful why.
It is compelling. Yeah. So risk versus reward. And then if you don't have any experience, test the waters a little bit and see if you got the entrepreneurial bug or if you just got a entrepreneurial itch. There's a difference, right? Because everybody has the itch now because entrepreneurship is becoming such a thing. But, it's got to kind of be in you, and you got to have that why and be driven. So everybody put in the comments, why, man? What is your why? Real quick, Michelle, we do a segment on the show called 1 Minute Motivation. People wake up with this show, and I am a huge proponent, just like you said, you're into Bob Proctor and law of attraction. I believe in the power of personal growth and self-development in a positive direction, because we know that everything you consume contributes to your personal growth or your self-development. The question is, are you growing in the right direction? So I try to give them something positive. So I'll play a short 1-minute clip. You give me a takeaway and I'll give you a couple of takeaways. And this is the Michelle Seiler Tucker version of 1 Minute Motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show.
Life is hard. See, for every time you have a plan, a dream, an aspiration, or a goal, do you know what happens every time you have one of those? This thing comes along called life. It happens to everybody. Life has disappointments. It's got peaks and valleys. You're going to lose somebody you care about one day. That's a valley. Somebody going to close the plant you thought was going to stay open so you could retire. That's a valley. Somebody going to fire you for an unjust cause. That's a valley. The people that got your credit card gonna sell their company, gonna sell their business to another credit card company. Your 18% go up to 26%. You don't even know why now your minimum didn't change. Cause it's life. You can stop thinking that life fitting to be easy, cause I got news for you, it ain't. That's a false hope to think you're gonna have a wonderfully carefree life. That's unthinkable. We all live in this bubble. What you gotta do, you gotta put more air in your bubble. You got to blow your bubble up. Expand yourself. Take yourself out your comfort zone. Do not live in your bubble. Put some more air in your bubble. If you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you will fail. You will fail in your comfort zone. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful.
Hoo-wee. That is Steve Harvey. One of the reasons I love to do this, Michelle, because I know that perspective is everything. We all just listened to the same clip, but we all heard something different. So what did you hear?
Well, it's so funny because I was writing down what my takeaway was, and my takeaway was get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I wrote it down right before he said it.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge. And I think a lot of people really will find themselves in the groove of life and not growing. And they don't understand that that's why they're not growing, because you're doing the same thing. I tell people, if you don't do nothing else, take a different route to work in the morning. That's enough of a change. So you'll see something different, make you start thinking different every single day.
Yeah.
He said,
and start using your left hand, start using your left hand. Use your left hand to brush your teeth. Use your left hand to do different things, because, it's great to be able to be ambidextrous and use that left brain, right brain. And then the other thing too is, because that's just happened to me before. I remember the first time I spoke on stage in front of 1,000 people, I thought I was going to pass out. There's so much self-doubt, so much self-negative talk in our head that tries to talk us out of doing these things, like talk us out of writing a book, talk us out of speaking on stage, talk us out of doing things that get us outside that comfort zone. And you just got to drown out the noise.
yes, most definitely.
Drown out the noise with positive reinforcements, and drown out the noise, most importantly, with your why.
Yeah, and your perspective, he said, life is hard, right? And you have to accept that you're going to have challenges. But Michelle, I've already decided that I'm not going to quit. So when the challenge comes, it's a challenge, but I've already decided that I'm not going to quit. So I'm not knocked off my rocker. So a lot of times we think that, hey, life is always going to be spring and summer. No, the fall and winter is coming. And
that's what Tony Robbins says. Tony Robbins says, winter is coming, winter is coming.
It's coming. And when you know that, then you kind of prepare for it mentally, and you kind of get a better understanding. So that is 1 Minute Motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by Exit Rich. Michelle Seiler Tucker in the building, talking about what it's like to grow a company when you think about the end in mind and creating a strategy that ultimately leads to leaving a legacy. So you talked a lot about some of those things that we should be thinking about on the front end. And what does it even look like to have a business evaluation, right? A lot of our listeners are new entrepreneurs, or just getting their businesses off the ground, what types of things should we be evaluating from year to year to make sure that we're on track to keep growing toward our exit strategy?
Yep. So I'm going to answer that question by taking you through the infrastructure of the 6 Ps.
Okay.
Because when we evaluate businesses, we use 6 different methods. We look at the discounted cash flow, asset approach, market approach, sold approach. We actually really take into consideration the 6 Ps because these are the synergies that you're going to be building in your business, and buyers pay for synergies.
Gotcha.
So the first P, I already told you the number one reason that businesses don't sell is because business owners don't think about selling. They don't plan their exit. Many business owners, unfortunately, have built a glorified job in which they go to work at every day versus a business that actually works for them.
Yeah.
And buyers don't want to buy a job. Buyers want to buy a business. So you need to build an asset that buyers will pay top dollar for. So the first P is people. People. Many entrepreneurs get stuck in their business. They get stuck in working on a day-to-day task. And you don't build a business, you build people, and people build the business. Okay. So entrepreneurs need to focus on their strengths and hire out their weaknesses. Because if the business is dependent upon you, it's not going to sell. We just had a dentist come to us that has 3 dental hygienists, been in business for 50 years, 1 dentist. He said, Michelle, I want to sell my business. And I said, look, we'll never be able to maximize the value because you are the business. And by the way, his 3 dental hygienists are his daughters.
Oh, wow.
And I said, now I can sell the business for you, but the price is going to be determined. The price is going to be determined and structured. The deal will be structured with clawbacks and earnouts, etc., based upon, contingent upon you staying in the business, you and your daughters. He goes, honey, we're not staying. And I go, well, honey, you're not selling. Because once you and your daughters leave, there is no business. The patients will leave. So the first thing you have to do, one of the most important pieces is people. You have to build your team. You have to put the right people in the right seats. And King Cortez, you have to ask the question, who opens the door? Who handles customer service, marketing, legal, accounting, manufacturing, logistics, environmental? Write down all the tasks, activities that have to be done in your business on a daily basis. And I call this the who. Who in your business does this? Assign a name. Here's the clue. You should never be next to the who.
You should never be next to the who. Well, I'm going to tell you, Michelle, you just stepping all on my toes because I am the who for everything around here. So
yeah, but we're going to fix that, King. We're going to change that.
All right, good.
And here's the deal, too. So a lot of entrepreneurs say, well, Michelle, I can't afford to hire someone. Well, guess what? You can't afford not to.
Yeah.
And because if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. Right. And if you can't afford a W-2s, you can get 1099s. You can get subcontractors. But you got to build a business of people. You can also get interns. We're in between 5 different colleges. So we have a list of interns who want to do a summer internship with us. So you have to figure this out. But you don't build a business. You build people, and people build the business. I had another lady call me 2 months ago and wanted to sell her business because her husband dropped dead of a heart attack. Sell his business. Left her with a mountain of debt. And I started asking these questions. He had no employees, subcontractors, but all the data was in his head. So when he died, the business died. So we really want to build the infrastructure here. And, it's baby steps, but you got to start building your team. People is the most important thing.
Listen, I got to give a huge shout out to my coach and mentor, Henry Darts, because he's been telling me this for the last 9 months. He's like, brother, if something happens to you, you don't have a single process, policy, or procedure written where somebody can pick it up and say, here's what we do to make the Cortez Hustle Show run. And so this is great confirmation for me. So people is number one.
People's
you build the people, and the people build your business. Go ahead.
Product is number 2. So let me just give you a little background because this is very important. When I wrote my very first book, Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth, in 2013, I did the research and learned that 95% of startups would fail. 95%.
Yeah.
But when I wrote Exit Rich in 2019, 2020, and did the exact same research, I learned that the business landscape has flip-flopped. It's actually changed dramatically. Only 30% of startups will go out of business now. Only 30%. So this is great news for Startup Nation. However, out of 27.6 million companies, those businesses have been in business 10 years or longer. 70% of them will go out of business. 70. So it's flip-flop. Now, it used to be startups were at great risk. If you've been in business over 10 years, you're at great risk. You hear about the public companies all the time, like Toys R Us in business 75 years goes out of business. Kmart, Steinmart, Pier 1, Godiva, our favorite chocolates, closing down 1,500 locations. Disney stores are going out of business. GNC is closing down 900 locations. But what the media doesn't talk to you about, all the private companies on every street corner in every town in every state across our great nation, these businesses are dropping like flies. They're exiting poor. They're selling for pennies on a dollar, closing their business, or even worse, filing bankruptcy. Here's the number one reason why these businesses are now going out of business. Lack of AIM. A.I.M. Always innovate and market. Business owners stop innovating. Toys R Us did nothing new. They never innovated in 75 years. Blockbuster saw the writing on the wall with Netflix, had the opportunity to purchase Netflix, and did nothing. So innovation is key. So product is a second P. Ask yourself, is your product, your industry, your service on the way up or on the way out? Is it thriving or dying? Do you have an Amazon or do you have a Blockbuster and you're about to go bust? And if you have a Blockbuster and you're about to go bust, it doesn't mean that you just close up shop, go home and curl up in a fetal position. It means that you got to ask yourself 3 transformational questions. Amazon did this back in the 90s. Amazon asked themselves, what business are we in? And all of your listeners right now should be asking themselves, what business are we in? Amazon said, we're in a book fulfillment business. We fulfill book orders. The second most important question is, what do we do really well? What's our core competency? What do we do better than everybody else? Amazon said we do fulfillment better than everybody else. The third obvious question is, what business should we be in? Should we be in? This is where pivoting comes in. So Amazon said we should be in a fulfillment business, fulfilling products order for everybody, not just for books. Those 3 transformational questions transform Amazon from a small bookseller to the multi-billion-dollar worldwide conglomerate they are today. So you really have to ask yourself, what business are you in? What do you do well? What business should you be in? And guess what? You should never have one profit center. That's why so many businesses went out of business during COVID, is because they have one profit center. If you're a restaurant, don't have just one profit center where people come in, eat food, and that's the only way you get paid. Have an e-commerce site, sell recipes, sell cookbooks, sell, something that's unique to your business.
Yeah, and I'm huge with that because I believe in that model as well. Like I said, every business in the 21st century is a media company and a tech business. And if you don't have proprietary, you have proprietary stuff, but most of the time they don't sell it. And every time I go into a restaurant, I'm like, well, why do you have Morton salt on your table and not your salt? Why do you have Heinz ketchup on your table and not your ketchup? Because you can also sell that stuff online as well. So that's a great point. So we got people, we got products as a second P.
Processes is the third P. Process.
And my coach is gonna kill me.
So process is kind of like exit strategy. Business owners don't think about it until something bad happens in their company. You're like, oh, we need a process for that. And where most business owners get this wrong is most business owners design their processes around their own agenda versus around the customer experience. Have you ever dealt with a company, whether it's a bank, social media, retail, where you call, you got to push number 5 to speak to this person, push number 6. You finally get somebody on the phone. You have to tell your story to that person. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to transfer you. And you might get transferred 5 or 6 times and your problem's still not resolved. It's because they're designing their processes around the CEO, around the CEO, around somebody else's agenda, but not the customer experience. Did you ever watch the movie The Founder? based
Yes.
upon the McDonald's brothers. Okay.
Mhm.
McDonald's, best movie. Everybody should watch The Founder. McDonald's brothers back in the 40s, 50s said, we want to create a fast food restaurant, fast food processes. We want to design it around the customer experience. We want our customers to experience great tasting food that's hot, fast, 30 seconds or less. Do you remember when they went out to the empty tennis courts, took chalk and drew out the processes, and everybody kept bumping into each other and stepping on each other's toes? Well, they designed those processes back in the 40s and 50s. You can eat it at McDonald's anywhere in the world and still get the same experience because the processes were designed with the customer experience in mind.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. They can fire somebody and have somebody replaced in 30 minutes working a drive-through because they have SOPs, they have standard operating procedures. So here's the bottom line. Processes need to be designed to create raving fans. They need to be designed where customers love your company, and want to give you referrals. If you don't create raving fans and create wow experiences for your clients, your competitor will be happy to do it for you. Whoever makes it easiest for the consumer to purchase products and services is the company that's winning. Amazon winning because they make it so easy to practically purchase anything and have it delivered to your house within 2 days. You can practically buy a horse on Amazon and have it delivered in 2 days.
I'm telling
So
you,
your
Michelle, if I
processes.
see another smiley face box show up at my door, they're making it too easy for my wife to get all of this stuff delivered. To the
I don't
store.
like Zappos does with shoes. But, so processes are huge. They must be designed with the customer experience in mind, not based on your agenda. They must be productive, efficient, and well-papered. Well-papered meaning having your policy procedure manuals, have your SOP checklist, have your employee handbooks, your non-competes, your employee contracts. When you go to sell a business, the number one thing business buyers are going to look at is your PP manuals. Okay. So processes can make or break a company. It can increase your market share. It can decrease your market share. It can increase your working capital, your overhead, or it can decrease it. So you got to get this part right. The next P, which is the highest value driver, is proprietary. So let me give you a crash course in evaluations. Businesses that have under $1 million in EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, will trade anywhere from 1 times to 3, maybe 3.5 times EBITDA. Now, if you're a SaaS company, you'll get a multiple of gross revenues, not the rest of you. You're going to get a multiple of EBITDA. However, think about this. If your EBITDA is over $1 million, then it will be 5 and up, depending upon your proprietary asset. So the higher the EBITDA, the higher the multiple. Proprietary is the number one value driver, the number one multiple driver to get you a higher multiple. It can take you from a 5 to 6 to 8 to 10. Gotcha. Now, proprietary assets are 6 pillars. So you got to be patient with me here because I want to explain all 6. Number 1 is branding. The more well-branded your company is, the more I can sell it for, as long as your brand is relevant in the mind of the consumers. Right. Is anybody paying any money for Blockbuster?
No.
No. The most valuable brand in the world is?
Got to be McDonald's, right?
No, they're in the top 10. It's Apple.
Apple, yeah. Okay.
$359 billion just for the brand. $359 billion just for the brand. That's not assets, inventory, cash flow, real estate, anything else. Trademarks.
It's the name. Yeah.
It's the name. Crazy. Trademarks are huge. Trademark your name, your slogan, your logo. Trademark your podcast. Trademark anything that's unique to you, like the ST6Ps or STGPS exit model. Here's a mistake that business owners make with trademarks. They go to GoDaddy and get their domain. They're like, yes, I got the .com. And then they'll go to Missouri and they'll get a registered trademark in Missouri. But they never check the federal database to make sure that that name is actually available. Just because it's available on GoDaddy doesn't mean it's available in a federal trademark base. So you need to check that out, because here's the deal. I've seen businesses be in business for 5, 10, 15 years, all of a sudden receive a cease and desist letter, and they have to stop using that company name.
Wow.
They'll hire an attorney, throw lots of money at it, but they'll probably lose. In most cases, they lose, and they have to start the rebranding all over again. So get a good attorney. It only costs you about $1,500 to $2,000. Protect your IP. Protect your IP. Then also products too, King Cortez. We have a company that has 12 different products. Each product has a federal trademark. One is exclusive to Walmart. One is exclusive to Target. Strategics and competitors will pay a lot more money for this.
Yeah.
Patents are huge. If you ever watch Shark Tank, what's the first question they always ask on Shark Tank? Do you have a patent pending? Do you have a utility patent? Their offers always contingent upon patents. We once sold a company for $18 million. It wasn't making much money, but they had 18 patents.
Yeah, exclusivity.
Contracts are huge. Manufacturing contracts, vendor contracts, distributor contracts, franchisor that has franchisees. The most valuable contracts of all are client contracts, especially if they have a subscription model with reoccurring revenue. Here's the mistake that business owners make with contracts. I have never met a business owner that has done this correctly. You need the 2-sentence transferability clause that says this contract is transferable on a new entity. 98% of all sales are asset sales, not stock sales. So if the buyer doesn't agree to an asset sale, to a stock sale, and the clients don't agree to consent to transfer, your deal could fall apart.
Yeah.
Plus, if you have thousands and thousands of contracts, it's almost impossible to get them to sign consent to transfer. So be proactive and put that 2-sentence transferability clause. Databases. If you have a database and you're nurturing it and they can be retargeted and repurposed, strategists will pay a lot of money for your database. Facebook paid $19 billion for WhatsApp. And WhatsApp was hemorrhaging. But guess what WhatsApp had? They had a synergy. This is what we're talking about right now, are synergies. They had 1 billion users.
Yeah.
And Facebook knew they could ROI and monetize on those 1 billion users.
And I want you to really, we got to say that again, because they did the same thing with Instagram. And I tell people all the time, Facebook has the developers to have built an Instagram overnight, but they didn't have 500 million users that Instagram had. And that's what they paid $1 billion for, right?
That's right. And that's what we're talking about, are these synergies and proprietary that strategics like a Facebook will pay, like a Google, will pay billions of dollars for. So in your business, you must build these proprietary assets. You must build these synergies. Celebrity endorsements are huge. We have a client that has their products on Oprah's favorite things. Well, strategists will pay more for that because they want to get their products in front of the queen of everything. They want to get their products in front of Oprah. So celebrities are huge. Radio personalities are huge to endorse your product because they can only endorse one vertical at a time. You're not going to see somebody endorse 5 different skincare companies.
That's right.
So that's prime real estate. So if Glenn Beck or any radio personality is endorsing your diet company, your skincare company, whatever it happens to be, that's prime real estate. Nobody else can squeeze in there unless you don't pay. Contract. Same thing with e-commerce companies. Pay attention, my e-commerce businesses. If you can get any of those top positions on Wayfair, Etsy, Amazon, eBay, that's prime real estate that strategics will pay a lot more money for because you're in marketing. It's not easy to get those top positions. So these are proprietary synergies that will take you from a 5 to an 8 to a 10. Okay.
Wow.
The next P is Patreon. So this is your client base. Most businesses follow the 80-20 rule, where 80% of their revenue comes from 20% of their clients. So they have customer concentration. You got to be very careful with customer concentration. You really want customer diversification.
Yeah. Because
like we were selling a media marketing company for $10 to $15 million. They have 5 clients, only 5, but they have 5 casinos. Because they cater to casinos. But during the sales process, they lost 2 of their 5 clients. Revenues dropped in half. EBITDA dropped in half. They were no longer sellable. I had to merge them with another media company. I'll give you one more example. We had an oil manufacturing business where we were selling, and they had customer concentration. 65% of their revenue was tied up in the BP contract. 65%.
Yeah.
And so we bought 550 buyers to look at the business. Narrowed it down to 12, got 12 LOIs, letter of intents. All of the LOIs had language in there like clawbacks and earnouts, anything to mitigate the buyer's risk that if they lose that contract, they're not paying that price. We appraised that company for $9.8 million. We found a strategic that had similar products and services and had been trying to get in BP for decades and could never get their foot in the door. So they said, we don't care about customer concentration. We want that contract because if we can get in that door, we'll get all our current products and services in the door. So they paid $15 million for a company that was appraised for 9.8, $15 million for 70% of the company and kept the owner on. That's 126% more than the appraised price of the business.
And he kept 30%.
So the most important thing in valuations, valuations are an art, not just a science. So valuations, we look at what buyers do we have? What are they willing to outbid everybody else on? What synergies will catapult their business to the next level? What economies of scale can they take advantage of? And what operating costs can I cut to increase EBITDA? This all comes into evaluation. That's why it's more of an art rather than a science.
Yeah.
And so the last P is profits. We're all in business to make money. And the reason everybody's like, Michelle, why do you put profits last? It's because lack of profits is never the problem. Lack of profits is never the problem. It's the symptom of not operating on one of the other 5 Ps. Gotcha. Clients come to me all the time and say, Michelle, I have a profit problem. I'm like, no, you have a people problem, or no, you have a profits problem. So lack of profits is never the problem. It's always a symptom. If you build your business to run on these 5 Ps, you will be profitable. I can assure you of that.
Yeah.
If you don't, you won't. And I can assure you of that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, normally we do something called freestyle, Michelle, but you freestyled the whole hour. I mean, you dropped so much love on us. Talk about where people can get the book from. And I mean, guys, we will probably rebroadcast this tonight in prime time as well, because this is too much. Somebody said this is gold, right? Kimberly McLean said this is gold. And I am with you, Kimberly. So tell everybody how and where they can get the book.
Thank you, Kimberly. So just a little bit about Exit Rich. It was endorsed by Steve Forbes. Sharon Lecter is my co-author. Sharon Lecter wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. She's a 5 times New York Times bestselling author. She also is a CPA, financial literacy expert, and the advisor to many different presidents, including President Obama. She writes the Mentor's Corner after each one of my chapters. Kevin Harrington, the original Shark on Shark Tank, wrote the foreword. Les Brown gave us a glowing testimonial. So did Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, Brian Tracy, Tom Hopkins. So Exit Rich comes out June 22nd, but you don't have to wait till June 22nd to read Exit Rich. You can go to exitrichbook.com right now for $24.79, which is less than Amazon. We will email you the digital download. Let me give you a quick case study. We have an owner in the pharmaceutical industry, bought Exit Rich, downloaded it, is using it as a workbook, is taking everything in Exit Rich, building it into their business plan, building it into their exit strategy, hiring us to build their business to sell, and we're going to sell between $25 to $50 million. So you can use Exit Rich as your blueprint. So $24.79. We'll email you the digital download. We'll ship the hardcover to your doorstep to anybody that lives in the United States for no additional shipping cost. Plus, we will give you a lifetime membership into the Exit Rich Book Club, where there's video content of me doing deep dives into different strategies and techniques that I've been training and teaching over the last 20 years in the trenches, plus documents. Documents to operate your business, documents to sell your business, sample SOP checklists, policy and procedure manuals, employee handbooks, sample letter of intent, sample purchase agreements, sample closing documents. And all of these are there for your review and your download to use. If you went to an attorney, it would cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars to recreate all of these documents that you need to operate and sell your business. Plus, we will give you a 30-day free membership into Club CEOs, which is an entrepreneur mastermind where we help ask those transformational questions and get business owners to pivot to build that sustainable, scalable business. So when they're ready, it's sellable and they too can exit rich. All of that, King Cortez, for $24.79 at exitrichbook.com.
That is amazing. And you are amazing, Michelle. This has been really informative for me And again, some of the things that my coach has been getting me on, not just in terms of creating the exit strategy, but like you said, getting to the profits by focusing on people, products, processes, proprietary, my Patreons, and getting to the profits. So any last words, Michelle, and how can they connect with you?
Absolutely. So, a lot of entrepreneurs come to me and tell me entrepreneurship is so lonely and I don't have anybody to bounce ideas off of. And I'm here to tell you that is not true. Entrepreneurs love helping other entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And the more successful an entrepreneur is, the more time, energy, effort, money they have to help other entrepreneurs be successful. So you don't have to do this alone. Always get an expert. Align yourself with a mentor, not just any mentor. Pick a mentor who's been down the road you want to travel. Pick a mentor that's already made the mistakes, because they will shorten your learning curve dramatically. They will shorten your path to success dramatically. Learn from other people's mistakes. Align yourself with a mentor, and don't do it alone. Don't go this alone, because it's not what you know that gets you in trouble. It's what you don't know.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest, most all-time quoted lies in the history of lies. What you don't know don't hurt you. And that's wrong. What you don't know is what's hurting you.
Absolutely. My quote, I'll give you my quote. My quote is, it's hard to read the label from the inside of the bottle. You need an outsider's perspective to read the warning signs and keep you out of the danger zones.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, exitrichbook.com. You can go get the digital version right now. And once the hard copy is released, that'll be sent out to you as well. Michelle, thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to go back and rewatch this 3 or 4 times myself. And I've already seen 3 or 4 different people commented replay because they can't wait to replay it themselves as well. And social media handles, anything like that?
So my main
follow and connect.
Sure. My main website is SeilerTucker.com. SeilerTucker.com. I will have my team drop in all my social media tags into the comment section on your newsfeed.
Perfect.
So they can follow me connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're everywhere.
Awesome. I love it. I love it, ladies and gentlemen. And you can always see the replay on this. It will be the featured blog for months to come on thecortezhustleshow.com, because this is so rich, because it's not just for people who have big businesses and $1 million revenue pots. Even those of us are starting out building, it's great to know how to build from the get-go, right? And I think that has done more for me, because I am building a media empire, Michelle, just so you know, and I say it publicly all the time for accountability, that will one day surpass Ted Turner and Walt Disney, right? I haven't figured out the how. I just know the what and the how was going to come. And with this information, understanding people and the process, procedures, the patrons, and man, this is rich. So until we talk to you next time, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. So hustle up. But you've got to overcome fear if you're going to win.
You're tuned into the Cortez Hustle Show. Please like and subscribe.